Well, good evening, everyone. On this fine, warm evening everywhere from Canada all the way down to San Diego, apparently. And welcome to this evening's professional development seminar entitled An Overview of the Canvas LMS. Qu'est-ce que c'est LMS? LMS means Learning Management System, the big server system on which all of the documents and assessments and communication tools that are utilized by faculty in asynchronous online courses, synchronous online courses, high-flex courses, traditional classroom courses even are often web enhanced using a Canvas site. And Canvas is our asynchronous reservoir of instructional resources for our students. Asynchronous just meaning that the students can access them any time of the day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Canvas is always there and always available to them. And they can't lose the materials that you put on Canvas for them. So that's what Canvas is. Why bother using it? Well, it is the learning management system provided and supported by the district. There's not to mean that this is the only perhaps online resource you might, asynchronous online resource you might use in your courses. You certainly have the right to use what works for you, but this is the one that's supported by the district, has the capacity to handle the entire district. Indeed, we have one Canvas system for the entire San Diego Community College District that services all 3 colleges and all continuing education sites. So everything I say tonight is germane to you, no matter which college you are teaching a course for or which continuing education site you may be working for at the given time. They all use the same Canvas system here at the Sdccd. So what do you get with Canvas? Well, you can share instructional content with your students asynchronously so that they can access it on their own schedule anytime. That includes, but not limited to, text, still images, video, audio, and other types of content. You can forget where reprographics is. Once you really get into Canvas, you don't have to run stuff off for your students anymore. You can just put it on Canvas and they can access it at any time. And they can't lose it. They can't lose access to it as long as they're still enrolled in your course. So whatever you put on Canvas is safe as houses. You don't have to worry about it disappearing on your students. Canvas also gives us a way to assess our students' progress in our courses asynchronously so that you don't have to take class time to do it. And this is true even if you're teaching in a face-to-face, fully classroom-based course. If you choose to web enhance that course with a Canvas shell, which is always available to you, you always have the option to conduct your assessments online and securely and very conveniently for you. And you can avoid the horror. What was always my greatest horror in the classroom was losing something a student turned in. I did that twice and I still remember those instances. Indeed, this is the part of an online or hybrid class that pretty much has to be carried out on Canvas, even if you lecture in Zoom most of the time. You will still need some way to assess your students' progress. And that's probably something you're going to have to do in Canvas. And we'll take a look at all of this in more detail. Canvas also provides a number of communication tools that will allow you to keep in touch with your students. No matter how you meet them or whether you don't meet them at all. You may be teaching a fully asynchronous online course where you never see your students in a classroom or in any other venue, maybe. Canvas gives you lots of ways to communicate with those students and for those students to communicate with one another without everyone having to be online at the same time or in a classroom at the same time. And this is, well, there's an old saying, the three most important things in online learning are communication, communication, and communication. And Canvas provides you lots of opportunities for communication and lots of tools. Also, Canvas gives you a gradebook, an online gradebook that you can use that will, if you're delivering assessments, tests, homework assignments, graded discussions, through Canvas, the grades automatically go into this gradebook when you grade those assessments. If you're teaching in the classroom, finally, some of us get to do that again. You can still record your grades in this gradebook, and you can use the gradebook to help you compute your final grades at the end of the term, should you so desire, if you don't have another system for that. And even more importantly, probably, it gives you the option to share these grades with your students. Canvas will allow students to securely see their own grades. It's protected by a login, student's account, so it's legal under FERPA. This is about the only legal way you can post grades for your students now, is through Canvas. And some people use a Canvas shell. If they're teaching face-to-face, use a Canvas shell just for that, and you're welcome to do so. First thing we need to know if we're going to use Canvas at the district is how to get into it. First thing I need to tell you in that regard is that you all have access to Canvas. Anybody with an active teaching assignment at the Sdccd automatically has an account on Canvas, even if you never had one before. As soon as you get that current teaching assignment, an account will be created automatically through an integration process with PeopleSoft, and you will have access. All matriculated students also have accounts. All currently matriculated students have active accounts on Canvas and can log into it. And every course section that's offered at the district is automatically provided with what's called a Canvas shell. That is a container, a Canvas website, basically, into which you can put content and assessments and use for communication and so on. All this happens without any intervention, any pleading, any begging on your part. It happens automatically. So Canvas is available to all of us without any actions on our part. Of course, no system is entirely perfect. And if you should ever have a problem accessing Canvas, there are lots of places you can get help, and I'm one of them. You're always welcome to email me if you're having any trouble with Canvas. Here's the URL for Canvas at the district, the web address, the unique web address for it, sdccd.instructure. Instructure is the company that creates Canvas, .com, not .edu. That generates some confusion sometimes because the Instructure is a business. We're using Canvas, of course, for educational purposes, but this is Instructure's URL, so it ends in .com. By the way, I do have a copy of this presentation. Let's see where I put that, just a second. That you are welcome to have. There it is. Okay, and I'm going to put the link to this this slide deck in the chat tool here. And that should have just popped up on your Zoom screens. If you click on that link there or go back and click on it later, you'll be able to see what's coming up. Okie dokie, get that out of the way. So then there's a live link in that to Canvas. This is what the login page looks like. This is what will come up when I click here. Somewhere. There we go. All right. Here's the Sdccd Canvas login page at sdccd.instructure.com, right there. Your login ID will be your 10-digit PeopleSoft employee ID. It's the same for the students. It's their student ID. Your password is initially set to your 8-digit birth date. And here's the help on that here. Your password is month, day, year, just numbers, no slashes, no periods, no punctuation of any kind, just the numbers. And if your month or day is a single digit, like January, month 1, you put a 0 in front of it. So you have to have 8. Your birth date will have 8, or I'm sorry, your password will have 8 characters in it. And that's all listed here on the login page in case you forget. My login is a little different. I was one of the first people put into the system when we got it, back when I was a real employee at the Sdccd. So mine looks a little different. Once you enter your user ID and your password, of course, you just click the login button and wait a moment. How long you have to wait depends upon the speed of your internet connection and how busy Canvas is at a given moment. And it appears to be pretty busy tonight, which is no wonder because we're still in the first week of the term. And 6 to 8 p.m. is usually the single busiest time on Canvas. And students have finished whatever they're doing through the rest of the day and get home and log into their Canvas accounts. Though though Canvas never sleeps. It is available 24/7, 365, and there are students in there working every hour of the day and night. And that's one of the beauties of Canvas. Students can do this work on their own, access instructional resources on their own schedule. Which is, given that many of them have lives as busy as we do or more, that's a tremendous plus for them and a great reason to use Canvas, even if you're not using Canvas as a primary instructional tool in an asynchronous online course. Canvas is still an exceptionally useful tool that you all have available to you. When you first log into Canvas, you're dropped on the dashboard. Let's go back here, move forward here. Let's see, we've already talked about this. The first thing you see is the dashboard. The Canvas dashboard, mine's a little blown up here to make it clearer to you as I'm presenting. Normally, it would look more like this. Okay. But I want you to be able to see it clearly, so I'm going to let it go to there. Each of these squares on the dashboard represents a separate Canvas course shell, a Canvas course website. As I mentioned, they're created automatically for you, and you don't have to request them anymore. You used to have to, if you were not teaching online, you had to request these. That's no longer the case. No matter how your course is coded in PeopleSoft, you'll have a square for it here. And the name, it'll automatically be named, and you'll be able to tell which semester it's for, which course section it is within that semester. Hopefully your dashboard doesn't get to look like mine. I've been here a while, and I have a lot of different course shells for different purposes on there.
And I realize you're going to say it, but just in case, remind us that we can move these around.
Yes.
So we can have the most current ones up top.
You can move
those
these
ones that are blocks of color, we can change the color, though I forgot how.
Yeah, you can change the, one thing you can do is go to this little context menu up here, the 3 vertical dots just to the right of the word dashboard. And you can enable or disable the so-called color overlay. And without the color overlay, they're easier to read. They look cooler with the color overlay on. Also, you can change the images, if any, that appear here within the course. So that's not a core competency in Canvas, but you can do that. Okay, so.
Wait, as you roll down though, scroll down. Mm-hmm. Those you can change colors.
Yes, you can change colors.
Yeah, but where? On the same dot. Thank you.
You bet. But that doesn't affect how you access the course or anything like that. To access a course in Canvas, all you have to do, I'm going to roll down to one I've got near the bottom here. I hope it's still there. Yep. And just click on it. And wait a second. And if it didn't hear you, click again. There we go. And that takes you into the Canvas course shell where you can begin developing or working with or managing your Canvas course. So pretty intuitive operation there. Now we're going to take a look at the Canvas interface, how to navigate through Canvas. We'll just briefly, we'll look at the global access menu, which is a dark gray bar that appears at the left side of every Canvas screen. And where there are a variety of icons here that allow you to access various parts of your Canvas account. And these icons generally deal with things that are not associated with any particular course, but are account-wide for you, like your Canvas inbox, or we'll look at it in more detail in a minute. Once you enter a course, you'll also see course menus on the left in blue by default that contain links that will allow you to manage a particular course. So while this menu deals with a particular shell, a particular course, this gray bar here deals with your Canvas account as a whole, outside of any particular course. In the center of the screen, the bulk of the screen is taken up with a so-called content frame, which is where information appears to you and to your students. This is where students see tests, where they see documents that you've posted, where they see their Canvas messaging tool and things like that when they go into it. This is the real functional part of Canvas. And then often enough on the right hand and the far right hand side of a Canvas screen, you'll have so-called task menus, which allow you to carry out certain tasks that are appropriate on this particular screen within your Canvas course. So let's take a look at what that looks like live. All right, this is what a blank Canvas course looks like when you first enter it. The course shells that you will receive automatically or by other means that are provided to you will have no content in them. There's nothing in there. You will have to remedy that. There are a variety of ways you can do that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this is a blank Canvas shell. But here's the global access menu on the left that you always have. The dashboard link will take you back to your dashboard so you can go into another course shell, a different one. The courses icon is basically the same thing as the dashboard, but it gives you a more compact, just a text-based list of all your courses in which you are enrolled, either as an instructor or a student or a TA or by whatever role you might be enrolled. And indeed, your dashboard typically will contain only your active courses, ones that you're currently teaching or that are useful to you at all times, as opposed to your current teaching shells or previous teaching shells. You never lose access to your teaching shells on Canvas. Once you finish the course, that shell stays on the system and you retain access to it indefinitely. They never go away. The students automatically lose access after the end of the term, though you can change that as well, give them and restore their access if you have someone working on an incomplete or something like that. I'm not going to worry about groups right now. You have a system calendar. This calendar contains events associated with all of your courses, not just a particular course. So it's in this system-wide menu bar here. And it's just a fairly simple looking calendar. If you haven't already done so, take the online faculty certification program, which is being required for almost everyone now and at all the institutions. You'll learn more about how to use the calendar and so on. I just want you to know there is such a calendar available, and that it will contain events, assessment due dates, things like that for all of your courses, color-coded according to course. Your Canvas inbox is your Canvas messaging tool. It's like an email system, but it's not email. It's an internal messaging system. You can send messages like email-like messages to your students and be 100% certain that they will arrive. There's no, oh, I didn't get that message in Canvas. Students may occasionally use that excuse if you try to send them an email to their personal internet email accounts, and sometimes they're being truthful. Things can happen to email messages that travel across the public internet. This messaging tool is internal to Canvas and has never, read my lips, never failed to deliver a message within a Canvas course. So it's an absolutely bulletproof messaging system. Of course, your students have to log into Canvas to check their messages nominally, but the way Canvas works, there are things called notification settings that determine when Canvas notifies you of something by email at your personal email address that may or may not, it may be your district email address, maybe a personal email address you've created. But Canvas will notify you of many things that occur within the system by email. And unless students change their notification preferences, when you send them a Canvas message, the message also goes to their personal email address or email inbox. So this is a very powerful communication tool and a great way to communicate with students in a personal manner, where something you take the student outside in the hall to talk about rather than addressing it in front of the class, can be done through the inbox. Not going to worry about history. We'll talk about the Canvas Commons in a moment. And you'll see Canvas Studio illustrated a couple of times tonight. Canvas Studio is a video creation, hosting, and organization tool that's available by virtue of you having a Canvas Learning Management System account. And then finally, this is where you get help for Canvas. You click the help button, a panel rolls in, and there are numerous help links here. The Canvas guides, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of little tutorials, text and static graphic tutorials that will tell you how to do anything in Canvas. There's an Ask Your Instructor a Question link for the students. There's a faculty chat support, and at least for the remainder of this academic year, a telephone hotline that is manned 24/7, 365. You can call any time of the day or night and talk to a Canvas help person. At 2 a.m. on Christmas morning, you may not get the A-team, but there'll be someone there. Perhaps the guy that got caught with the boss's daughter behind the rubber tree plant at the Christmas party, but there'll be somebody there. And there's a chat for both students and faculty, and a support hotline. So students are never without someone to get help from, and neither are you. We pay quite a great deal of money to Canvas to maintain that. So please make use of it if you need it. We have lots of Canvas tutorials of our own that we've made. You can access those from that link. And that will take you to our Open on Demand site and just list all of our Canvas tutorials. That's taking a moment.
Can you real quick put that in chat, that link?
The link?
Please?
Sure.
Yeah, because I can't copy from the top
There
of
it is.
this.
There it is. Well, let me just give you the link to the home page here. And
Yeah.
here's your Canvas tutorials here. It's Sdccd OLVID. It's Sdccd online video vid.org. And there it is.
Dave, this is
But
Pamela.
you can always access the Canvas tutorials from the Canvas homepage.
Dave, Pamela here. I think if you just show them again how you got to that.
Yeah, right here.
From help, yeah.
Because
it's always there, yeah.
Tutorials, right there. All righty, and some of this you won't see. Some of it I'm seeing because I'm an administrator. But this is always available to you. And that, of course, is one of the first things you learn about a new software system you have to use, is how to get help. And there's lots of help here. You're also always welcome to email me if you have a question about Canvas. I'm delighted to get those. And here's my email address, in case you don't have it. I'm in the directory. I still have my district email account, which took some doing after I retired, but they allowed me to keep it because they knew I was going to be coming back and doing some of this stuff, though nobody saw COVID coming. But so there's your global access menu, or the important parts of it anyway. Let's go back to a course here. I can do that by going to the dashboard. Let's go back and take a look at, yeah, let's go ahead and just look at the what the inside of a course looks like that has been developed. Here's an actual running course. It's a flex course on the video technique of screencasting we run that you can get flex credit by completing on your own time without having to be here from 6 to 8 this evening to get a couple hours credit. Here's the course menu that I mentioned. And we'll be looking at some of these links as we go through tonight. They do. Then here's your content frame that contains information that you want to convey to your students. And here's the task menu that varies depending on which page you're on. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But let's see, let's go to settings. The two places you have lots of task menu links are the home link, which is the first thing the students see when they enter the course, and the settings link, which we'll talk briefly about tonight. Settings is where you control how your course operates and customize it. All right. So you've got this blank shell, like a blank sheet of paper. Just those of you who can remember the typewriter, you remember that soul-searing experience of taking a blank piece of typing paper and rolling it in, dropping the bail down, and staring at it and thinking, now what? Now what? Well, there are several different ways to develop a Canvas course. That is to get a Canvas course shell ready to teach from or to provide supplementary resources to your student. If your primary instructional delivery is through Zoom or face-to-face in a classroom. A great way to do this, if you possibly can, is to borrow it. There are some departments who have basic Canvas shells ready for some of their most commonly offered courses, the core level courses that they teach over and over and over and over again. Some of them have Canvas shells ready to go that you can take and then customize, but they give you a start. Or maybe you have an extremely generous colleague who teaches the same course that you do, who has been using Canvas for some time and has a wonderful course shell available that they're willing to share with you. Now that's a big ask, because we're going to see developing a Canvas course from scratch is a major undertaking and takes quite some time. But there are some wonderfully generous people out there. An old colleague of mine, Hank Beaver, has given out his shells for a couple of courses that he still teaches to dozens of people I know over the years, and is always happy to do so. So it's worth checking around to see if someone might have a shell that you could start with and then customize to your own needs. That's ideal. Sometimes your publisher will have a basic course template that goes with their textbook, and they'll provide it to you, and you can download it and import it into your Canvas shell. Those tend to be somewhat skeletal, you know, rather spare in nature, but they can at least give you a start on organization and so on. You might be able to find a template course in the Canvas Commons. The Canvas Commons is a wonderful resource. Let's go back and look at Canvas again here. In the global access menu here, down toward the bottom, is a link labeled Commons. If I click on that, I bring up the Canvas Commons, which is a massive, it's called a learning objects repository. It's a bank of a tremendous number of resources that people like you have decided to share with their colleagues. And these resources range from complete courses to individual modules within a course, Canvas assignments, quizzes, discussion topics, content pages. We'll see the difference between pages and documents in a minute. Videos, audio, and pictures. All these things might be found in the Canvas Commons, and you can evaluate them and import them into your own course shells, up to and including a complete course. Somebody give me a subject, an instructional subject that you teach.
Ceramics.
Ceramics.
When I'm on another computer here, and I don't have the little filter. Oh, maybe it's below. Oh.
That should be there. You might have a.
I'm on a Chromebook, so.
Oh, it may be a resolution issue.
Okay.
Okay, but that should show up. The
Okay.
So ceramics. I just type in a subject area and press enter.
Okay, I'll do that.
And there were 285 results because there are hundreds of thousands of learning objects in this repository now. And 285 of them have something to do with ceramics.
Okay, yeah, that came up on my Chromebook.
Here's an assignment, a module, a couple of modules. Here are a couple of complete courses. Now, Canvas is used at all levels of education, from primary through higher education. So they do try to indicate the level. But here's one, high school, which might well have useful material in it. Here's a graduate level, apparently, or 7 to graduate level complaint.
Yeah, thank you.
So, you know, it's worth a look.
Yeah.
If you see something that looks useful, you can just click on its name here, which is a link, and it will give you a preview of the contents of the course. This one has 19 assignments, 11 discussions, and 10 files. So it's calling it a complete course is a little bit of a stretch. This is probably material that you could use, but it's not a complete, ready to go course. But chances are you're going to want to do a lot of that yourself anyway. And this might be useful material. If you find something that looks useful, you can import it into your course just by clicking this import download button and then selecting the course shell into which you want to import it. And you can even import it into more than one. And then just click import into course and wait 5 or 10 minutes and go and visit the course, and that content will be in that course. It's just as simple as it can be to get that content into your own course. You can keep what you like, throw away what you don't, and it may save you some time.
Thank you.
Certainly worth a place to look. Or at some point, and at least in part, you're going to have to develop the course from scratch. And that's what we're going to spend the rest of the night tonight talking about, is how to develop a Canvas course from blank. And even if you get a start with some of these others, you're still going to have to do some of the things we're going to talk about here in order to make the course your own, to get your own material that you've created in there and make it your own for your students. All right. And to do that, you're probably going to want to request what are called development shells. Okay, remember I told you that you get a Canvas shell for every course that you teach, no matter what format it's in, was a classroom course or an asynchronous online course or whatever, you're going to get a shell for that course. But there should have been a little asterisk over my head when I said that, because your teaching shells, we call them, the ones that you're actually going to use to teach your students, are not going to appear until about a month before the beginning of the term. There are technical reasons for that. Basically basically can all be summed up in one word: PeopleSoft. We can't provide the shells to you before about a month before the beginning of the term because of limitations in PeopleSoft. So not only that, well, let's move on. So why should you use a dev shell? Why not just wait for your teaching shells? Well, you may not have time to do that, for starters, but there are other advantages to working in a development shell and actually creating your course in a development shell. For starters, that will give you a pristine copy of course content that is never exposed to students. Students never see the inside of your development shells. Only you do. So you can try things in a development shell and develop the course a little bit along and not worry about students seeing you in process or having any way to add anything to the shell or anything like that. No students ever see that course. But the main reason that you want to work in a development shell is that the development shell is safe from course edits in PeopleSoft. Here's the scenario that everyone fears. You get your teaching shell and you go in there and you madly load content and make quizzes and homework assignments and discussion topics and so on. You get everything just the way you want it, and it's sitting there and you're ready to go. Your students are enrolled in that shell and you're ready to go, and somebody in one of the offices, the administrative offices, decides, whoops, we have to change the CRN on this section. Or there was an error when we created the course encoding it and we have to recode it and so on. And when that happens, PeopleSoft creates a whole new course record for your course in the administrative system. And that causes your teaching shell that you've been working in to vanish. And you get a new one that's blank. And if you're lucky, you don't have a stroke on the spot. We've had a couple of faculty members to whom this happened who were, I would not have wanted to take their blood pressure at that moment. It's a terrible feeling to go in and you've just completed all this work and it's gone. Well, it's not actually gone. We can get it back, but it takes a lot of effort on everyone's part, and it's definitely not good for your cardiovascular health. So far safer to create your course in a development shell that PeopleSoft can't touch. And know that it's safe, that nothing will ever have to happen to it. The very next time that we lose data from Canvas will be the first time. It's never happened. Canvas, your Canvas courses are backed up all across the world, multiple times.
Well,
Uh,
I'm glad you told us that, because I always was doing development shells, but for a couple semesters I didn't. And this semester I requested a development shell.
good.
So thank you. I didn't know about that. So thank you very much.
This is one thing that the folks at Online Learning Pathways asked me to stress when we do this session. So how do you get a development shell? Well, all you have to do is ask for it. You go to the Canvas help menu. You either use the dial up the phone support system or the instructor chat support chat that we saw a little while ago. And you say, I want a development shell. They'll verify that you're an instructor at the Sdccd, probably ask you for your ID number. And then they'll say, okay, what do you want a development shell for? Say, I want one for English 101. And they'll make you a blank development shell for English 101 while you're on the line. This doesn't take long at all.
You only need one development shell per subject,
Typically,
right?
yeah, you'd only need one development shell for a particular course subject, like English 101 or English 205 or whatever. But there are exceptions to that. Let's say you have a 6-week course and a 15-week course, or an 8-week course and a 16-week course. And their organizations are going to be different. And you might want a shell for both. And you're welcome to it. You can have as many development shells as you want.
But in theory, just one.
In theory, one or maybe 2 or 3 for a given
Yeah.
subject. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. The only downside to these development shells is if you use publishers' resources with your Canvas shell, which you're certainly welcome to do, like my whatever lab, my math lab, my coding lab, my business lab, or whatever, or the Cengage's product, or Wiley's publishers' sites, which you can pair with your Canvas shell, and it appears to the students it's all one big site, so it's very easy for them to access and so on. And if you do that, you can't pair your development shell. You don't want to pair your development shell with that publisher's site for your particular course section. You want to wait until you've transferred your content a few days to a week or 2 before the beginning of the term from your development shell into your teaching shell. And indeed, that's what you will do with this development shell. You'll develop the course in there, and when it's safe to do so, or whenever you want, once you get your teaching shell, you can copy all of everything you've done in the development shell into the teaching shell in a process that takes maybe 30 seconds of your time for each shell. And is very, very simple. And it's the last thing we'll talk about tonight. So you're faced with this blank Canvas shell. Let me go back and pull that blank shell up that we're going to use tonight. There's my development shell. You're faced with this blank sheet of paper. What are you going to do? Where do you start? Well, you start with modules, with the modules tool. Student content that you're going to share with students in Canvas, is shared through a series of structures called modules. To see what these look like, let me show you a sample course here. Go and log into to Canvas again here, so I don't lose my place on that other one. Here's a course that's already been developed. Modules in the Canvas course are accessed through the modules link in the course menu. And here's what they look like. Not terribly sexy, but this is where should be where everything the students need is found. A mod that you can have as many modules as you like, and each module can contain a variety of links to resources within your course. resources like documents, discussion topics, quizzes, videos, links to content outside of Canvas, homework assignments, excuse me, etc. Each module contains a series of related links that is related to a particular logical part of your course. A typical first module will be a getting started or a welcome module, where you provide students with the information that you would normally provide them the first day when you first meet them in class. You get up and you introduce yourself, and you tell them about the textbook, you give them hand out the syllabus, you answer questions that they might have about the course. That's what you normally put in a getting started or a welcome or a module 0 or however you want to term it. And then that will be followed by a series of content modules, each one of which covers a particular logical part of your course, maybe a week of instruction, or a chapter or 2 in the textbook, or just a particular topic as this one is organized. But all the links within a module are related to one another and apply to that particular logical part of your course. Here I've got a document, a link to external content, to a website outside of Canvas, another document, a Canvas page with instructional material on it, a homework assignment, a discussion, and then some video discussions, since this is, of course, about creating instructional video. So it's all the links within a module will be related to one another. And often, as you go from one module to the next, the links will be quite consistent. You may have an introduction to the content in the module, and then you may have some lecture notes, you may have a PowerPoint presentation, you may have a homework assignment, a quiz, and so on. And each module may be very similar to the one before it. Students like consistency. I forget, was it Bernard Shaw who said consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds? Well, by his standards, most of us have small minds. We like consistency. So consistency good in course modules and content modules. You can make as many modules as you need. And if the course is well designed, is modular, air quotes there, this is the only place the students should have to go the vast majority of the time. The students should find everything they need, or almost everything they need, in the modules. So it'd be very rare for them to, relatively rare for them to have to go to the course menu and look for something. Like they're going to have to go to the course menu to look at their grades. But in terms of instructional content and so on, they really shouldn't ever have to look anywhere else. It should all be in the modules. The module tool should be a one-stop shop for them. That way, all they have to do, all they have to really understand about navigating Canvas, for the most part, is how to get to the modules and start at the top by clicking on the first link. When they get that first link and they've read their syllabus, in this case, there'll be a next button at the bottom of the screen. They can click on that and go to the next thing you've given them, in this case, instructor information. Once they get into it, they can go back and forth this way. And they don't even have to, in a given session, they don't even have to go back to the modules tool. They just keep doing next, 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 next until they run out of stuff to do. And then they finish the course. And they don't ever have to worry about where to start or what to do next. And that sort of worry will drive a student out of a course faster than anything. making it easy for them to find what they need to do is absolutely critical. And modules, the modular organization of a Canvas course will make that possible. So the first thing we're going to do in our little course is create a module. And that's not going to be hard at all. Here's our blank course. Okay, it's hard to miss how to create your first module here. Canvas has a reputation for having an extremely intuitive interface. That's not always justified, but more often than not it is. Indeed, it is one of the most intuitive interfaces among any learning management system available today. It's very easy to navigate, both for students and faculty. And it's the primary reason it was chosen as the learning management system of preference for all the California community colleges. All of them use Canvas now. And in this case, I mean, create a new module. It's just staring you in the face. There's also an add module, plus module button here, which is pretty easy to see as well. You can click on any of those. It does the same. They do the same thing. So that's where we are. Let's start with like I say, a getting started or a welcome or an introduction module where you provide the information the students need on the first day. That might include the syllabus, instructor information about you, particularly if you don't have a chance to see them in a classroom or on Zoom, and don't have a chance to introduce yourself, or you just want to make sure that that information is there, available to everyone in case they forget, forget what your name is. I've lost count of the number of times a student has called up and say, oh, I'm taking a chemistry course. What's the name of your instructor? I'm not sure. So good thing to have that in there, if nothing else. So definitely some information about you, maybe an icebreaker discussion where you get them to find out about each other, and you get to find out about them, they get to find out about you, and so on. Maybe a quiz to see if they read the syllabus. You can even fix it so that if they don't pass the syllabus quiz, they can't move on until they go back and read the syllabus again and take the quiz again. And so useful thing, etc. So let's see how we actually implement that in Canvas. It ain't very hard. All right, here's our development shell, blank development shell. We make our first module by either clicking here or here on the add module button or on the big icon in the center of the screen. And we get what's called an add module box. And you look at this, there's really only one thing you have to do here, and that's give the module a name. And again, I'm going to call this one Getting Started, but you can call it Fred if you want to. Don't worry about locking it and so on. That's an advanced technique that you don't have to know anything about. And once you give it a name, you just click this big blue button down here that says Add Module that actually creates it. And that's pretty typical of the Canvas interface. If you look at the screen for a second, you can usually figure out what to do. If you know what you want to do, you can usually figure out how to do it just by looking. All right, there's my first empty module. Oh, by the way, this download button here, and that's an extra add-on I have running in Chrome, but I should get rid of when I do this. Sorry. Okay, so we have our module here. There's the name of it. There's nothing in it yet. And I've got these three little buttons here at the top right of the module title bar. This first one, if I mouse over it, says publish. Publish in Canvas is French for, my apologies to any French teachers who are online, is French for make it visible to students. If you don't publish something that you put into Canvas, students can't see it. That can be either because you're still working on it, you don't want them to see it yet, or because you forgot to publish it. In my case, it's much more likely to be the latter. But once you click on that icon, you get a green circle with a white check mark in it, and that's a visual key that, okay, students, once students are enrolled in this course and they are given access to it on the first day of class, they will be able to see this module because it has been published. Then there's a little context menu here. The 3 vertical dots in Canvas always denotes a menu of some sort, a so-called context menu, a menu that contains options that apply to the object, to the portion of the course that you're working on at a given moment. If I click that, I see I can move contents around in the module. I can move the module around. If I have multiple modules, I want to reorder them. I can delete it if I decide I don't need it at all. And so I can duplicate it. And, you know, if 2 modules are going to be very similar, I can duplicate it and not have to redo everything from scratch. I can share it with a colleague. I can copy it to another course. I can share it to the Canvas Commons. If I'm proud of it and I think it might be useful to some other folks, I can share it. So, useful stuff. Oh, and there's an edit button there that will allow you to change the name of the module if you decide if you mistype something or something. But it's the icon here in the middle that we're really interested in right now. That little plus sign is the means by which you will add content links to your modules for your students in order to share content that's in your Canvas course with your students. So if we click that plus sign, we get what's called an add item dialog box that will allow you to add any one of a number of different types of content links to your modules. The different types of content that you can add include homework assignments, quizzes, and discussions, class discussions. We'll take a look at what those look like in a minute. Files and pages are the first things we're going to talk about. You can add a text header, which is just information about what's coming next. You may or may not use those. An external URL is a link to content outside of your Canvas course, like a website out on the World Wide Web, or an external tool, like a publisher's resource, or maybe Canvas Studio, or Films on Demand, or there's lots of external tools to which our Canvas system has access. So those are the things you can add to your module. Let me jump back to my PowerPoint here and make sure, yeah, we're still in the right place. I have a tendency to forget where I am in my slides and run right past something, which I prefer not to do because that confuses the heck out of everybody. Okay, so one thing we certainly might add, what's one thing we might certainly add to our Getting Started module? Something you're always going to give to your students on the first day of class. Assuming Repro has gotten them run off in time for you to do it. Don't have to worry about that here. What's that first thing you hand out?
Syllabus there?
The syllabus, yeah. And rather than having to hand it to them on paper, which they will promptly lose and claim ignorance of, you can add this in as either a file or a Canvas page. These are your 2 principal content types in Canvas. The file denotes, they both actually refer to computer files, but the file option here in the add item menu refers to a file that you have on your local computer or on a thumb drive or whatever, but you've created it offline or outside of Canvas. And it's ready to share with your students, and you just want to upload that file into Canvas and provide the students with a link to it. More often than not, you'll have your syllabus typed out on a Word document. And you want to load that Word document into your Canvas course and provide the students the link for it. To do that, we would select File from this list here. And then in order to actually upload a new file to Canvas, we'd click on the phrase here where it says create files. When you do that, the screen changes and you're given a button which allows you to choose which file has your current syllabus in it on your local hard drive or on a thumb drive or an external hard drive or whatever removable media you might have attached to your computer. You click choose files and your file manager pops up on your computer that you're working on. It'll be File Explorer, as we see here on the PC, a Windows PC, or the Finder on your Mac. Works the same way either way. And indeed, Macs work just as well with Canvas as Windows PCs do. There's no bias, platform bias built into Canvas. And I, of course, have to know where I have my syllabus stored on my computer. Hopefully I remember that. It's more of a struggle every year. I know I have it in my documents library, and it's in this particular case, it's in a folder labeled Content Creation Tutorial Files. I open that, and somewhere here is a syllabus. There it is, screencastingsyllabus.doc, which indicates it's a Word document. But Canvas will handle almost any type of computer file. You can share any type of computer file that you have on your local machine with your students by uploading it to Canvas and creating a link to it using the process we're going through right now. The only thing you have to worry about is that the student can, once they click on that link, they can open that file. They can see the contents within that file. With common file types like Microsoft Office documents, or open office documents, or PDF files, or one or two other types, you don't have to worry about that because Canvas has what are called viewers that it will open the file in, and the file doesn't have to download to the student's computer and then get opened by an application on their local computer. If, on the other hand, you want to share something like an AutoCAD drawing with your students, that when they click on, when you upload that file into Canvas and put a link to it, and then they come and they click on that link, that file is actually going to download across the internet to their computer, and they'll have to have an application on their computer that will open it, probably AutoCAD in that case. And if they don't, that file's not going to do them any good. So you got to be a little careful with that. But you don't have to worry about Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, PDF files. All of that can be handled by Canvas without having to worry about what the student has on their computer, which is a major improvement for us over the learning management system we used to have, the Blackboard, where you did have to worry about things like that. So to put this syllabus into my module, or a link to it into my module, I just select it and I click the open button, which I'm sitting in front of. That's a bad habit. There's the open button. Right there, down in the lower right. And that tells Canvas which file I want to upload and link into my module, and where it is on my local hard drive. We don't have to worry about folders and indentation and stuff like that. This is pretty much meaningless, or something you don't have to worry about starting off anyway. So I've chosen the file, but it hasn't actually uploaded into Canvas yet. To execute that, I have to go down here to this, and Canvas tends to make critical buttons. Here, I'm sitting in front of it again. Got to move myself back where I was. That Canvas tends to highlight critical buttons or critical objects on the screen in blue. You know that's important when you see that. And that add item button is what actually executes this upload. You click that, the file uploads to Canvas. It goes into a file storage space. And each of your Canvas shells has its own storage space. You can upload up to 2 gigabytes of files into there, which is a lot of files, a lot of Word documents or spreadsheets or PDFs. The only way you're likely to exceed that file storage capability in a shell is if you are uploading video files, and you don't want to do that. We have other ways for you to share video with your students, and I'll show you how one way to do that here in a minute. But anyway, there's my screencasting syllabus. If a student comes along, and notice that the file is automatically published. In order for students to see this link, both the module itself and the file within it have to be published. You can check to see if you've done that right at any time by going to the Student View button up here in the upper right and clicking on that. And now you will see the course, or the module in this case, as your students will. And there the link is. And if the student clicks on that link and waits a second, because Canvas has to do some magic internally, within a few seconds, Canvas will display the contents of your Word document that contains your syllabus, and assuming you do have the syllabus in a Word document, which is by far the most common. This can take a moment, particularly if your computer is busy doing several other things. Great, Joe. Thanks so much for coming tonight. So, come on. This is a function of Canvas being utilized heavily by actual students right now, in all probability. Again, 6 to 8 at night is one of the busiest times on the system. In a moment, there we go. There, and the syllabus appears. The student can read all of it. This is not much of a syllabus, but it's not much of a course. And they can read it, and they never had to download it to their local computer, which might take longer. If they want their own copy, they can click on this link here at the top of the inline box here. And that will download that to their local computer. That's something to think about. With any files that you post into Canvas, you are giving your students a copy of them that they can take and do what they will with. That's one of the reasons people like PDF documents. Like it's easy to take your Word document and convert it to a PDF, and that's much more difficult to edit. So students can look at it and print it, but they can't really do a whole lot more with it. So, but with a Word document, if they happen to have Word, they can just open it up and edit it in any way they like. Just something to be aware of. And then we can go back to the modules. And I can drop out of student view. I've got a little button down here that I'm sitting in front of again. That says leave student view. If I do that, then I go back to being me. And now I'm the teacher again. Okay, so that's how we do a file. Another type of content object we might put into a module is a page, a Canvas page. A Canvas page is also a computer file. It is, in fact, a web page, an HTML document, for those of you who are aware of the technicalities of the World Wide Web, a hypertext markup language document. But it's one that you create in Canvas. Rather than creating it on your local computer using some application like Word or PowerPoint, and then upload it to Canvas, you actually create the file on Canvas. We get started by hitting Create Page, just as we created file before. And in this case, all we have to do is give the page a name. I'm going to call this Instructor Information. And then once again, add the item. Well, that was easy. And I can publish it and we're ready to go. No, we're not ready to go. It's not quite that magical. Canvas can't read my mind and create an instructor information page from scratch. I have to click on the title of the page, in this case, instructor information, and I see the blank page that I have created. To add actual information to this, I have to go to this edit button here and click on that. And then I get what's called the rich content editor. This is the ubiquitous content editor in Canvas. You use this for everything from creating Canvas pages, content pages for student instructional material, to creating Canvas announcements, creating Canvas discussion posts, you name it. This is used over and over again in Canvas. So you do have to learn the use of this editor here. I can't give you a detailed introduction to this editor. That takes a couple hours. We have a separate session where we go into the rich content editor in detail. But just a very quick introduction here. The rich content editor allows you to...
I don't know where the volume is.
I'm sorry? You can type, and you have all the usual text management tools, or text editing tools here, bolding, italicize, underline, and so on. You can add links to content inside and outside of Canvas. You can add media files. You can add other documents. You can link documents into this. You can link content from external tools like Canvas Studio or Office 365 is a new capability we have. You can pull an Office 365 document right into this and link it into the Canvas page or discussion post or announcement we're creating. And then there are other tools here as well. So the rich content editor is your content creation tool in Canvas. So this might be instructor information. So I can type that title. I can highlight it and bold it and make it bigger and center it. I can add pictures, should I wish. I have an image tool here. I can click on that. And I have the option to either upload an image that I have on my local computer, or I can use an image that I've already uploaded to the course. Or I have a personal file space in Canvas that where I can store things I might want to use in a number of courses. And I can pull it from there, but let's see how to upload an image here. I get this little icon here. This is a picture file on my local hard drive that I'm looking for. On my computer, I just click this little launch pad icon here, and my file manager comes up, and File Explorer in this case. And there, I just happen to have a picture of me handy in this content creation tutorial files folder. I might have to navigate for it and look for it, but this saves us a little time. I can just select the picture I want to use and click open. Again, down here, and I'm not sitting in front of that. Good. And I get me. I can add alternate text in case I have some blind students in my class. And will tell me that this is, I can type a description of this image. Doesn't have to be especially eloquent. But a blind student using a screen reader will then hear, here's a picture of Dave Giberson. Doesn't do them any good, but at least they know what that image is there for. They know I cared enough to put a picture in there for people who could see it. And that's pretty important, particularly if your course is exclusively asynchronous and you never meet with your students on Zoom or in the classroom. This may be the only way they know what you look like, and they want to know what you look like. They want to know you're a person and not some web robot. This helps more than you might imagine, but it is, I won't say required, but it's a very, 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 very good idea to put alternate text, it's called, in or associated with any picture that you load into Canvas. It ensures a certain level of accessibility. Or if it's just a pretty picture, you can click decorative image and the screen reader will just ignore it. Then you just click submit, and that image becomes a part of your growing document here, he said. Come on. Don't be slow. Let's see. Let's save this and jump back into it. Let's see if that shows up. Looks like it knows something's supposed to be there.
It usually comes right up.
It should come right up.
Yeah.
Try that again.
There we go.
That looks more like it.
Yeah.
It's thinking about it anyway. Oh, somehow I got it up above the instructor information and that. Canvas is getting a little slow here for some reason.
Oh, like you said, maybe everybody's on now.
Yeah, there's a lot of use right now, but it should be able to handle this.
Well, and to reposition it, you can just do back arrow, right? Go back under instructor information and click under there. Make sure, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. There.
There
finally,
we go. Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. It usually turns yellow.
If it's too big, I can click on it and I get these handles at the top and bottom corners of the image. And I can mouse over one of them, get a double-headed arrow, click and drag and make it appear smaller. And then I can drop it below the instructor information, or above in this case. All right, that'll do. Sorry about the slowness there.
How do you make your picture stay visible at all times? Mine has like a link, click here type thing, and you'll see my picture.
That was, let's go back to that and upload image button and pick the image again. I won't go.
Oh, okay. I think I know what I did wrong.
Over.
Thank you.
And when you want to say embed image as opposed to display text link.
Okay.
Which would just display a link and they'd have to click on it to see.
Yeah. All right.
Good question. All right, so there's my instructor information page. I'm I might have some personal information I want to put in there rather than you having to watch me type. Let me just paste that in. I can center that. Whoop, center, he said. There we go. You know, the usual word processing kind of stuff. I've got a little bio here I can copy and paste in. And I can even load in a video into a Canvas page. You can insert all sorts of multimedia and other rich content into a Canvas page, just as you can into a Word document. And that's why this is called the rich content editor, because I can do things like this. I can go, I happen to have an introductory video, or I can make an introductory video for this course by going to Canvas Studio over here, which is a link. And oops, I need to save my work so far before I do that. So I can come back to that. I can go to Canvas Studio in my global access menu over here, and I have the ability to record my webcam. I have a lot of webcams on here. I have to tell it which one. There I am. Okay. And my microphone's in this, so I push that back out of the way a little bit. The camera sees me, so I know I'm good. This bouncing blue bar tells me that it's hearing my microphone. If I don't see that, I go to the mic button here and pick another microphone, or I've got several microphones in there as well, but this seems to be working. And normally it'll just work like this. I start recording, counts me down. Hi, everyone. I'm your teacher for this course. Someone's got to fail. Might as well be you. Finish. I had a good friend in graduate school who started every one of his classes that way. Okay. I can, hi, everyone. I'm your, you can play it back to convince yourself it recorded. And then you just click Save Media. It saves it into your Canvas Studio library. It's all there is to creating a motion video using your webcam in Canvas Studio. About as simple as it gets. For some reason, that tiny little file is taking some time to upload. I think my internet connection may be a little challenged tonight too. I got to talk to my ISP about this. I'm just going to pick another video rather than waiting on that one. I think this one is probably something similar. So how do I, once I have a video in my Canvas Studio library, how do I get it into a Canvas page? Well, I go back to the page, go back to my course. Which is down here. That's the one I'm working in. Go back to my Pages tool in the course menu, which was where my pages actually live. Here's my instructor information page. I click on that to access it, and I edit it again. Now, if I want to put that video right here at the bottom of my developing page, I go to the little electric cord icon, which allows me to pull in content from so-called apps or external tools. And one of those tools is Canvas Studio. Canvas Studio, my Canvas Studio library comes up. It probably won't have that video that I just uploaded, that I just created in it. Nope, not yet. But I can scroll down and find another one. We'll just use this one. I can select that video and embed it into my Canvas document, my page. And there it is. And there's my instructor information page. I can save that Go back to my modules. And there it is. It published itself automatically. A student can come along, click on that link, and there I am. And there's the video. Doesn't usually take that long to load. Usually it just pops right up and they can play the video. Welcome everyone to today's seminar. Okay. And that's all there is to creating a Canvas page. And some of the things, it shows you how to, some of the things you can put into a Canvas page. All right, let's go back to our modules.
Dave, can I ask you a question?
You certainly may.
I had to step out for a little bit, so you may have already said this. Is this going to be your homepage, the modules?
No, not. Well,
Oh.
it actually by default, it will be.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I've got a file and a Canvas page, which constitute the bulk of the different types of content you're going to put in here, though you may load a PowerPoint presentation as a file. I can create a new file. I can choose files. I can find a PowerPoint presentation. Let's see. And click open and add the item. And just that quickly, I'll upload that document, and there it is. And now there's a PowerPoint presentation that students can view. I'm not going to wait for that to show up here. It'll just show up. PowerPoint presentation is one of those files that there's a viewer for. The students don't even have to download it. There it is. All right. Back to modules. I can also create, and I can continue to add content to that getting started module. But at some point, I'm going to create what are called content modules that have the actual instructional content, my subject matter content that I want to share with the students. I can make as many modules as I like. To make the next one, I just use this add module button here, this plus module button. And I give it a name. And let's call this, what is screencasting? And add the module. I'm going to add topic modules. You might call it week 1 or chapter 1 and 2 or something like that. So I get another blank module and I can start adding content to that in the same manner by clicking the add item button, the plus sign. And let's say in this case, I want to add an external URL, a link to a content outside of Canvas somewhere. Whoop. Fumbled that. There we go. The only thing I need is a name. I'm going to call this the Guide to Screencasting. This tells the students what's under the link and gives them something to click on. And then I need the web address, the actual web site URL or Uniform Resource Locator. To do that, to get that, I have to go out on the web. And I have to search probably in Google for in this case, I want the TechSmith Guide to Screencasting. There it is. I click on it. And here is the URL for that page in the address line on my browser. I just select it, copy it to my clipboard, go back to Canvas and paste that into this box labeled URL. I can optionally load this in a new tab so that it's not interfered with by the Canvas interface around it, or I can just let it Canvas display it in the content frame in Canvas. I'll just do that and add the item. Make sure both the module and the item are published. Both have to be published in order for a student to see it. Then I can go to student view. And I can click, the student can click on that link and bang, there they go. And there's that website. Lots of instructional material that I did not have to create. I just get to use something that somebody else created, has the information in it I want. They made it publicly available and it's not behind a password or a paywall. I can use it. So that's the third content type that you typically see in modules in Canvas: a file, a Canvas page, and an external link. Those are the three types, or external URL. Those are the three types of content that you might add. Other things, of course, there are many other things you might add to a Canvas module. Let's go back to the Getting Started module there. You might add a quiz, an assessment. You can create the quiz. We'll call it syllabus quiz. Add the item. Well, that was easy. Make it publish it. No, that's a blank quiz. I have to click on the quiz and I go to edit the quiz, just as I edited that page before. And I can add some instructions if they're needed. I have some quiz options. I can set a time limit. I can decide to give the students more than one attempt. You know, on a syllabus quiz, I probably want them to take it as many times as they like, because I want them to know, you know, look back at the syllabus. I don't care what the grade is, really. And allowed attempts can be, if I don't set a number of allowed attempts, they can take it as many times as they like, which is what I want. I can set a due date. I can set availability dates. If I don't want the students taking this after the 30th of August, or let's go to 3rd of September, I can set an availability date that will prevent them from even accessing it after that date. The due date just tells them when I want them, the time by which I want them. Let's do the 31st. I wish they'd take it. But the availability date prevents them from taking it after that date. Then save that. Edit the test again, and now I can add questions to the test using the Questions tab. I can type questions into the question generation interface by just clicking New Question. I have a bunch of different question types, multiple choice, true, false being a quick one I could use. Not trying to show you in detail how to create a quiz. We have a separate session on that, but just might be, let's see, you won't have to spend any money to take any money on software to take this course. That's true. Next to true, I make sure this green arrow is next to true. That tells Canvas what the answer is. And I save that question. Oh, and I probably need to tell it how many points I want to make this. Maybe I'll make that 2 points on the test, or the default is 1. I'll save that question. If I have question banks available to me, I can go back to the edit the quiz, go to questions, and I can find questions. And I have, I think, a syllabus quiz test bank here. There it is. I can pick one or more questions from this question bank. If I've got one that I've either created or that the publisher has provided to me, then I can add those questions to the developing test. They show up there. Oh, shoot, I didn't save that question that I created. There's a button at the bottom to update the question and I didn't hit it. Got in a hurry. So we'll just take those two. Don't make that mistake yourself. And I can even have Canvas randomly pull questions for me from a question bank if I have it. We don't have time to look at that tonight.
Where is what you should have clicked on? To save it.
Let's make
Oh, if it disappeared, don't worry about it.
no, it's here.
No, I think you did because that says 2 and 3. I think it's, I
No,
think you did.
I picked those out of a question bank.
Oh,
When
okay.
I create a question, there's an update question.
Oh, way down there.
that I
Okay,
didn't
gotcha.
hit.
Thank you.
Good question. You don't do what I did. Yeah, save it. Okay, so the quiz is ready to take. The student it's in the module. The student clicks on the quiz. Well, I have to be a student to show you this. It's published, so I can go to student view. The student can take the quiz. Take the quiz. Remember, they can always Google it. So you don't want to give them too much time and you don't want to put too much stock in an objective quiz that's taken online. That's just to remind you of that. The student can that one's not functioning properly. I don't worry about that. The student can answer this. That's true. Submit the quiz. And if you've given them a right to do so, they can take it as many times as they like. So the process is very simple for students, very much like taking it on paper, simpler in many ways because they don't have to have a number 2 pencil. They don't have to fill in the little ovals on a Scantron sheet and so on. The quiz, the objective questions for the quiz are graded immediately and they get some feedback. How much feedback they get, you get to determine. So it's a very quick, simple, and efficient way of quizzing or testing students. And you can give anything from a 2 or 3 question syllabus quiz to a 100 question multiple choice final this way. Other types of assessments you might use, indeed ones that are better in online courses. Let's go back to modules. There we go. Would include a homework assignment. I can add an assignment, which is a homework assignment. Usually the student has to either type something in to a text box or a rich content editor box in Canvas, or they have to upload a file that contains their answer. I can create an assignment as I created a quiz, give it a name. I'm just going to call this Define Screencasting. Add the item to the module. It's a blank assignment. You now have to flesh it out by clicking on the name of it, editing it. You have to provide the students with instructions on what you want them to do. Define the term screencasting. Include at least 3 instructional applications of screencasting. and 2 software tools that can be used to create screencasts. Absent the typing errors there, that's fine. I can set the number of points this is worth in my grading scheme. I can tell tell Canvas how students are going to turn this in. If this is a face-to-face class, you can have them turn it in on paper, and you can just grade it and put the grade in the gradebook. But more often than not, you'll have them turn it in online, so you don't have to handle the nasty paper rife with COVID virons and things like that. You can just allow them to just type their answer in, or you can make them upload it as a file. You can set how many times they can turn it in. The default is unlimited. Probably you want to limit that, and maybe to 1 or not, just depends on the nature of things. If it's a writing assignment, you can have it checked by Turnitin to see if they copy and pasted it off the internet. That's not likely here. And there's some other options. You can set a due date again, and an available until date, which is usually the due date, so that they can't take it after, September 29th, that was supposed to be. So they can't take it after the due date, but that'll only be the case if you also set a display until date. And then you save it and you publish it. We go back to our module. There's the published assignment. Each of these items has a different little icon that tells you what it is. That's the icon for an assignment. If we go to student view, the student can take that. They can go in and they can see the instructions. And this would tell them that, oh, I need to go and do something before I actually start this assignment. So at this point, they back out and they go and they look at their instructional material in the modules, and they find out what screencasting is, and they find the answer to all aspects of this question. And then they come back to the module and go into the assignment again. They hadn't done anything that they couldn't back out of at that point. Then they click the button that says Start Assignment. They are given several options by which they can upload a file into the Dropbox, we call it, for this assignment. The default is for them to just upload a file that they've created on their local hard drive. But they could also upload a file that they created in their Office 365, probably in Microsoft Word, in that. And sometime in the not too distant future, all of our students are going to have access to Office 365 through the district. Exactly when that's going to occur is still up in the air. The last date I've heard is September 6th, but other people have have thrown shade at that likelihood. So we'll see when it actually happens. But the students will have all sorts of options on how to submit this document to you. In the case of the file upload, they would just click Upload File, and they would then choose the file. And somewhere here I have a definition pre-done. I select the file as a student, open, and then submit the assignment. If everything goes through, the students get a little feedback, a little confetti there. Yay, you submitted an assignment. That reassures them that it really did go through, because the first time they do it, that one, did it work? Did it get there? They also get a text receipt that says, yeah, you submitted, it's there. Your instructor will grade it at some point. You'll get a feedback back from them. You, as the instructor, then go into your gradebook here, and you'll find in there, here's the test student is the who you invoke when you click student view. And there's a submission from that student for the defined screencasting assignment. You click on the icon that indicates they've submitted something, click the right arrow, and go to the speed grader, which is the grading interface. Wait a second, their submission will appear in the left-hand frame here. You can read it. You can assign a grade. You can provide feedback. Not going to spend a lot of time on this, obviously. You can actually provide feedback in all sorts of ways. And the more feedback you provide, the more valuable and experience this will be for the student. And then you just submit your grade and your feedback. And go back to the grade book. That's what this little icon will do. And there's the grade. The syllabus quiz, you note, already has a grade because it consisted only of objective questions which Canvas could grade, so the grade just appears. So that's the basics of the real basics of grading in Canvas. So let's see where we are. We're about 5 minutes from the end, so we better be pretty well along here. We've begun with modules. We've talked about how you might arrange content modules. We've built content modules, and these are some of the things you might put in a content module. We put in a PowerPoint presentation. You might include your lecture notes. You might put a reading assignment in. You might embed videos. You might put a link to a Zoom meeting, etc. We've seen how to create links to files and to pages. We've seen how to add Canvas assignments and how to create a quiz. Just a word of advice, Canvas assignments, while they're a bit more work to grade, are much more informative about how much a student actually knows about your course material, and they're much more difficult to cheat on. Canvas quizzes, particularly if they're primarily objective quizzes with not a lot of essay questions in them and things like that, can be gamed in a number of ways online. There are things you can do to minimize that possibility, but you can't totally eliminate it. The Canvas assignment is a more reliable assessment, a more authentic assessment, and tells you a lot more about what the students actually know. The third type of assessment that you can create in Canvas is a graded discussion. You can set up a Canvas discussion topic, which is basically a bulletin board where students post to the bulletin board. You put a question at the top of the board or an instruction at the top of the board, a prompt, and the student responds to that prompt using the rich content editor. So they can include text or video or pictures or whatever, just as you saw in that Canvas page earlier. So you can have a very rich discussion, yet the students can post their discussion posts on their own time without having to be online at the same time. So it's an asynchronous discussion, tends to be much more inclusive than a class discussion because one or two people are not going to monopolize it. And the people who are uncomfortable speaking in class will be much more comfortable typing something into a rich content editor box on Canvas. So you get much better participation. The discussion can go much further and be much more extensive because there's a limit to how much time you can dedicate to it in class. So graded discuss, and you can assign a grade to students' participation in those discussions using the speed grader. It will pull out their posts automatically, and you can look and see immediately what that student put into that discussion without having to sort through all the other students' posts, and assign a grade to it through the speed grader. So those are your assessment types in Canvas that you have available. Just a couple of minutes left to deal with the 2 more slides, if you'll forgive me. The course homepage is the first thing they see when they enter a Canvas course. By default, it's going to be the modules. Let's go back to Canvas and take a quick look at that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to look at. What they see first is what's going to appear if they click on the home link in the course menu. And that's the modules by default. You can change that. You can create a Canvas page, which add a page, and we can just call it home page. We can call it Fred if we want to. And I can put, I can give it a title. I can bold that, I can make it bigger, I can center it. I can maybe put in a welcome video from Canvas Studio. Let's see, I want to view collections and I want to go to my screencasting course videos. And I have here an introduction. I'll select that. I'm not going to display media tabs in this case. I can embed that into my course homepage. So there's an introduction to the course that I've created as a video. Good thing to do. And I can put in a link to my modules. Might be labeled Start Here. That's my anchor for that link. I can highlight it and go to my link button in the rich content editor, and I can put in a course link. That is a link to something inside the course. Before I used an external link in a module, which was to something outside of Canvas. In this case, it's an internal or course link I want. And these are the things I can link to. And I can link to a module and my Getting Started module. And that's all I have to do to make that work. That's now an internal course link. And I can put as much here as I like. I can put lots of text. I can put lots of videos, lots of images, things like that. This is just a bare bones homepage. And now I just save that and publish it. And instead of linking this into a module, I go to my home link here. Actually, I go to my Pages tool first, and I find the home page. I go to the context menu for that home page, and I say Use as front page. I get a little note that this is going to be my course home page, my front page, first thing the students see when they enter the course. And you say, oh, I'm done. And you go to home and you click on that. This is what happened to me the first time I did this. And then the modules pop back up, at which point you say bad words and exercise your vocabulary. And you look over here in your content, in your task menu, and there's a button that says course homepage, at which point I said, well, I blankety blank thought I already picked that. It already knows that, well, I want to use that as a course homepage, but this should say select entry point, course entry point. If I click that, there are 5 things I can have come up initially when the students enter the course. The default is the course modules, but what I want in this case is the page that I have created to be a home page. So I select that option, click save, and now when students enter the course, they get a course homepage with some actual information on it. It's a little more welcoming, and it's less of a just the facts, ma'am, kind of introduction to the course. Makes them feel a little bit better about themselves, maybe. And there's an unambiguous way for them to get to start working on the course. They click start here, and their modules pop up, and they start at the top and work to the bottom, and they're done. So that's how you create a course homepage. Finally, when you get your development shell all ready to go, and you have your teaching shell, which is still blank, you copy the development shell content into the teaching shell. That is probably the simplest thing you'll ever do in Canvas. And I can show you and not run more than 5 or 6 minutes over here. Let's see. Bring back up. Here's the shell I've been working on. It's called the Canvas Dev Shell. Okay, that for me, that's what I call this one. So the question becomes, how do I get this content into my teaching shell, which is still blank? I don't start here. That's the #1 point of failure in this process. I go back to my dashboard and I find my teaching shell, which is still blank, and I have a blank shell here I'm going to use as if it were my teaching shell. I'm going to call it Canvas. It's called Canvas Overview. I go into the blank teaching shell, the target shell, the shell into which I wish to copy content. I go to the settings link on the course menu in the blank shell, the target shell. And from the task menu over here on the right, I select import course content. I have to tell Canvas what type of content I am importing. If I am copying content from one Canvas course to another on the same Canvas system, which is what you'll be doing, you select the first option, copy a Canvas course. These others are for other circumstances. Then I have to tell Canvas which course to copy, course shell to copy from. Obviously, it's got to know what to copy. I click there, and if you've only got a few courses, it'll pull up all the courses that you own, that you're the instructor in, and you can pick the one you want. In this case, I've got way too many, so I have to do something. I have to start typing the name of the course until it pops up. There it is. I select that. I will, in this case, be copying all content from the dev shell into the development shell into the teaching shell. I don't recommend adjusting events and due dates automatically. It just generally produces a mess. And I click import and ignore this stupid warning here. That's something that happens 1 in a million times. And somebody had that happen to them and they complained bitterly and probably threatened to sue Instructure or something. And they put this warning in there that confuses the living daylights out of everyone. Ignore it. You click import, And this runs in the background. You don't have to sit here and wait for it to happen. This is such a small course that it's not going to take any time to do. Normally, you just leave now and go and do something else and come back later, and your content will be copied. Here, it's completed just that fast. If I go to home, it will show me Canvas. And there's the content from my development shell that I just created. And there are my modules, the modules we just made and so on. And that's all there is, copying the contents of your development shell into your teaching shell. If you're not explaining it to someone, it takes about 30 seconds of your time, the second time you do it. So it's not a big deal. It's something you'd probably wait to do until maybe a week before the beginning of the term, or maybe the night before, to ensure that somebody's not going to change something in PeopleSoft and cause you have to do it again. But as long as you've got your development shell, even if you have to do it again, if they wipe out your teaching shell, you have to redo the copy, it's only going to take you a minute or so to do it. And that, folks, is the Tiptoe Through the Tulips 50,000-foot nickel tour of Canvas. And that's what I had for you tonight. Thanks for your patience there. We had a couple of good questions earlier, which put me in 9 minutes over, but that's better than my average. And we pretty much covered everything you needed to see. Obviously, I didn't show you everything there is to know about Canvas in a brief introduction like this. We will offer, as we go through September, a series of more detailed Canvas instructional sessions that will show you how to do things like create tests and assignment. It'll give you a lot more detail on creating tests and assignments in Canvas, how to grade in Canvas, how to communicate with your students through Canvas, and a variety of other things. But this was meant to just get you started and to give you an idea of what you can do in Canvas and why you might want to. So now let me throw the floor open to any other questions that you haven't been able to ask so far. I know a few came through in chat, so let me go back and look and see if there's anything there that I haven't already addressed. Oh yeah, Carlin. You can put all those handouts that you normally have to take to repro and kill God knows how many trees up in Canada in order to make that work. And then the students just lose it anyway. You can put all of your handouts, anything that you would normally hand out to students, you can put into Canvas. It's there for them. They can access it at any time and they can't lose it. Yes, ma'am.
There was
Yes.
a little disclaimer at the bottom when you were doing the copying, something about you can't download after 500 days. Is that talking about an old course I couldn't?
Yeah, I was
import?
talking about an old, it's a, when you're exporting a course and so on, you have to download the file to your computer within 500 days or
Okay.
do it again. That's not of any real import. That's another one of those things. They just got a bunch of complaints, so they're just warning people. If you want a copy of this, you better download it before 500 days are up, or we're going to clear it off system because it would just clog up our servers and so on over time. So if you want it, download it now or within 500 days. And if you don't, well, you're going to have to do it over. And it only takes you a few minutes to do it over. It's not a big deal. Let's see, looking for some more questions. Is there a link to make sure the class meets ADA compliance? Well, that's a very good question. Accessibility is certainly an issue in Canvas or in any learning management system. The learning management system itself is about as accessible as it can be made. Canvas has won awards for that. And so the Canvas interface is sufficiently ADA compliant to meet, real world requirements. Is anything perfectly accessible to students with disabilities? No. But Canvas does a pretty good job of it. Your content that you put into Canvas is another matter. And something I didn't show you, for instance, in the rich content editor, let me pull that back up. Like that page, that instructor information page that we created, you saw me create. If I click on that and edit it, there is in here it's down below. The little Galilean symbol, the what do they call that? The circle of man or whatever, is the accessibility checker. You can click that, a little page comes in, and it tells you of any issues. Issue 1 of 1, only one issue. I guess that's not too bad. Image file name should not be used as alt attributes describing the image. Oh, I put that in, and I reloaded it, and I didn't add the alt text, and it automatically put in the file name, but that doesn't tell a blind student anything. So I can fix that very quickly by just typing in Dave Giberson photo and apply that. And it says, good, you're accessible. Don't believe it. This is not the most extensive accessibility checker there is. And there are better tools. Indeed, there's a tool that is available that I don't have time to demonstrate right now, that does a deeper check. It's this one right here. This accessibility guide will give you more things to look for. And this one apparently has found something else that the one built into the rich content editor didn't find. It's called Pope Tech. Yeah, that's what I couldn't remember. And so you have some accessibility tools to help you evaluate the content that you load into Canvas. They're not perfect by any means.
What did you click on for that second one?
This one right here at the bottom.
Lost your cursor.
Editor interface. Am I in front of it? No.
No, you're not scrolled down enough.
Here you see the save button, the cancel button, and then this stylized P in a circle right here.
No, I don't see them.
I'm looking over here and I'm seeing that on my screen that I'm sending. I'm not sure. I do seem to be sharing that in Zoom. Let me try sharing this screen directly. Maybe that'll make it work for you a little bit better.
Well, you keep saying down, but we aren't seeing the bottom of your screen, I don't think.
Are you seeing it now over here?
There it is.
Yeah, okay.
It's next to your left shoulder.
Yeah,
Yep, now I see
exactly. And that's it, that stylized P.
it. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Let's see. That was a great question. So there are tools built into Canvas that will help you with that, but that's not a simple, that's a brief answer. It's not a simple process, and it's not one that you'll ever be perfect at. And obviously, if you get a complaint or an appeal from a student who's having trouble with something, you find a way to alleviate that, getting us involved if you need to, and we will make sure that student is able to access your course content. And lots of nice messages there at the end. That concludes what I'm finding in the chat tool. So how about some more questions? Just unmute yourselves if you haven't already done so, and speak up with a question. Let's stick with Canvas for the moment, and then I'll stay here as long as you have questions. And once we clear up the Canvas questions we have, then I'll answer questions on anything that you might have that you want to ask about. But first, any more questions about Canvas? I
have one, Dave.
Great.
You gave me an idea. I have my students, measure their pieces, what the diameter,
Oh, yeah,
the
they're
volume. Yeah.
craters, they're pottery. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, for space management, volume management, for space in the kiln for the semester. And I'd like to have it in Canvas. I usually have them do it on a card in a card file, and they keep a notebook on their personal notebook. But
Gotcha.
I'd like to, I just wonder if it should be, but I don't know how I should do it. So it's something that they would, would it be a page? Would it be a discussion? I mean, I'm
How would
not
they
sure.
submit that to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you could make it an assignment
Okay.
and make it a file upload assignment like I created here today.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
And they could
All right.
still do it on that card,
Mm-hmm.
and they could take their phone and take
Okay. Okay. Okay.
that will produce an image file on their phone.
Right. Right.
And the students have available to them on their smartphones, and almost all of them will have at
Right.
least an inexpensive Android phone, which will work fine. It'll have a camera, and it will be able to run the Canvas student app,
Right. 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 Right.
through which they can submit that assignment very easily. They can pick that file right off their phone and submit it to your assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And we have on our open on demand site under for students, I think it's fairly recent here. Oh, I should probably just go to Canvas student Canvas tutorials. That'll speed it up a little bit.
So kind of how to upload a photo and
Here we go. Uploading images or video to a Canvas assignment from your Android smartphone or tablet. And then there's one for the iPhone as well.
Bingo.
This
Good.
will give them a step by, they'll see me doing it. It's as if I were standing next to them with my phone and they were seeing where I was tapping.
Thank you.
And then they'll have the card in their notebook, but you'll have a picture of it that you can grade in the speed grader.
Mm-hmm.
They can
Okay.
also use a scanner app on their phone. Do the same thing basically, but it's simpler just to take a picture. That
And
I know that
al-
I would take a
seems
picture
like-
with their smartphone.
thank you.
You're welcome.
It seems like I also might be able to do like an Excel file. So it's actually kind of like on the card because they start with so many cubic inches and then they
Oh,
subtract
yes,
it.
indeed, they could. Then, of course, they have to know how to use Excel. That's another thing that you have to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yes, they certainly could.
Okay. And then there's one more question I had.
Mhm.
They kind of need to know how many minutes they've attended. Oh, because I'm CE, right? So is there a way I can have like some kind of a weekly reporting and posting so it's private, so each student only knows how much each student, not their time on Canvas. Well, actually, I kind of want to do that one too, but their time in class, how many minutes, because I use a tracking device for their time in.
Right.
Is there a way I could how would I do that?
There is an attendance tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me pull that up for you. If I wanted to add that to this course.
Yeah.
Actually, it's already there.
Oh.
But it probably won't be in your blank shell.
But that's for Canvas, isn't it though? How many minutes on Canvas?
Well, it's an attendance tool. You could use it in the classroom.
Okay.
It's like an attendance book.
Yeah.
And it's very simple. If it's not in your course menu, which it probably won't be, you go to settings.
Yeah.
Oops. Let me save changes I made there. And go to settings.
Yeah.
And under settings, there are a series of tabs across the top of the screen here.
Right.
What you want is navigation.
Okay.
This top part of the screen is what's in your course menu right now. And about
Right.
students.
Right.
Attendance is there, but it
Okay.
probably won't be. It'll probably be down below here somewhere,
Okay.
and not visible to students.
Yeah.
What you have to do to make it accessible to you and to students, where appropriate. The attendance tool, the students won't see anyway. That's for you. But to put it into your course menu so you can use it, you just find it down here in this vast list of things that you could add but haven't been added to your course menu. Click and drag it up above that line and put it wherever you want it in your course menu. Drop it
Right.
and save the change.
Oh, yeah.
But I always forget, like I forgot to save the test question earlier.
Yeah.
Save that a couple of times just to make sure it. And then you'll see the attendance tool here. Click on that, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
It's basically
Now, is that the data
presentation.
I would enter? Or would I enter it?
Yes, that's something you.
Okay. And then they would ask me. So they can't access it, but they would ask me how
They
many.
can get a report of it.
They can. Okay. Because they kind of need that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she said she needs minutes that they attended.
That's a little trickier. This doesn't give you that.
Oh.
You want to know how long they've spent in Canvas, you have to go to your analytics.
Well, no, that part's okay. I get the report, how many minutes, hours, seconds, that part I know. But it's the class time, because I have, I'm in the tracking pilot where they buzz in and out with their card, and it does how many minutes.
So you've got that.
Yeah. So I would love to somehow be able to link that to my course.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a system outside Canvas.
Yeah. Okay.
There are ways that you can at least get a rough idea of how much time they're spending in Canvas.
Yeah. I just go to people. I just go to my roster in Canvas. Yeah. I go there. Yeah. And then it shows how many times exactly total activity and the last data.
That shows their last activity and total activity.
Yeah.
But you can get more detail. By clicking on the name and going to new analytics.
Okay.
And we offer a.
Oh, okay. Well.
All right. Not ready right now, but there is a lot of information under new analytics, including you can drill down and find exactly what they've done in your course and when they've done it.
Yeah, like posting to a discussion.
Right, exactly. That's all collected. Every time they do something, it's collected in a log, and you can see that. And you can find that in our website if you just type Canvas Analytics.
Okay.
Okay, and search for that.
Okay.
And we've done sessions on that before, several of them. Oh boy, quite a few of them, half a dozen of them over the last 2 or 3 years. I'd pick the more recent one. There's one from May of last year. So we haven't done that in a while. We need to jot that down here. That's probably something I need to do in the next month or two again, live. But the more recent one, these things change over time a little bit. So I'd pick one of the more recent ones. And there's I think that's like an hour-long session on all the things that you can find out about what your students have been doing and how they've been faring in your course, and get all sorts of aggregate information about it. And that is 56, just a little under an hour with questions and so on. So that might be worthwhile. Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. How about some more questions? How about questions on anything, not limited to Canvas? We'll open it up to anything you want to ask at this point. Or do you just want to ask, can I go to bed? And
I'll tell you, school started for me and I have 8 a.m. classes Monday
Oh,
through Thursday. And considering where I live, I have to get up between 5 and 5:30.
Say, what time do you have to get up to get there? Oh my God, bless your heart.
Yeah, because I live about 25 miles from school.
Right. And with a wall of human flesh and automotive steel between you and the campus.
Actually, I go on Interstate 8 and it's pretty good.
Mm.
It is pretty smooth driving.
I've never heard those two phrases used in the same sentence.
Yeah, but it's
Interstate
comparative.
8 and pretty good.
It's relatively speaking compared to
Right.
85,
Yeah,
52.
as opposed to us poking the eye with a sharp stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, I tell my students, I said, you know, there's a tradition that if the teacher is late by 10 minutes, you can leave. I said, forget it with me. You wait at least 30 minutes. And then I said, when you're listening to the traffic report, if you hear about slowdowns at Lake Jennings, Las Cochas, Greenfield, etc., and I tell them my whole route that are common, I said, that's where I'm going.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
One time I was 45 minutes late.
Yeah.
And it was hard getting anybody to answer the phone to go put a note on the door.
I understand that.
But I tell the students, hey, you got here anyway, and the door's open, just work with other students.
And
You know, have it.
you can certainly use the time to work on your homework.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
So anyway, I will say goodnight.
Take care. And
thank you again. As many of your workshops, I always pick up something new.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye, guys.
That makes it worthwhile.
Bye.
Thanks, Caroline. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
And by the way, David, I do not see any symbol saying you recorded this. I
Yeah.
thought you turned it on, but where is it?
It is. It's recording. It should be in the upper left-hand corner, but it is recording. Not to worry. But somebody had a
Okay.
question.
All right.
Well, I just have one comment. I love the discussion. I use that really a lot,
Yes.
but and I make my own Canvas Studio videos, and that's all fine. But what I usually do is I create the discussion with a video that I've made or one I found. And what I'm thinking, what I kind of liked when you talked about the external URL,
Mhm.
I'm thinking I might want to kind of have that first. So like, because it might be a podcast, it's a transcript they're going to read and
Right.
you know, like an interview, but or a video I want them to watch, right? 'Cause I want them to watch it first, but I usually tell them all these questions I want them to think about, and I want them to give the timestamp, you know. So
Excellent.
I was thinking I might do the external URL first to kind of like showcase this is what I want you to listen to and focus on, and then give them my discussion question after
Right.
that.
And if you really want to get fancy with that, there's even a way you can embed some websites, not all, but some websites, right into the prompt, the instructions for the discussion post.
Could you show that? I mean, I do it under
It's a
discussion.
little while,
That's
but
how
I
I do
do
it.
have
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
a
Tutorial. Yeah.
tutorial on how to do that, and I'm trying to remember what
Oh, yeah.
we called
Okay.
that session.
But you're talking about doing it right in the discussion, right?
Right.
Put the video and all
right
that
in
in there.
right in the instructions for the discussion.
Instructions. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, because you're thinking grading. See, I don't grade
Websites
them,
right
but-
directly into Canvas documents like that.
Hmm.
Creating, inserting online video. No. Oh, where was that?
Because I just usually do it right in the discussion, you know, in the rich content editor. But I think you're talking about
No,
like
that's
the
what I'm talking
grading
about,
part.
indeed.
Mm,
Embedding whole websites into Canvas pages and other documents.
okay,
I'll put the link in the chat tool.
thank you.
You bet. It won't work with all websites, but it will work with some. And the only way to find out is to try it. But you can actually have a website sitting there that they can scroll through, and it's dynamic that, you know, if somebody makes changes to the website, it shows up automatically. And they can scroll through the entire website or the part of it you instruct them to. And then you can put the rest of your instructions below that and look for this and ask and answer these questions after you've looked at that website. And you can make
Yeah.
all of that a discussion topic or
Right.
an assignment.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. I just do it inside of my discussion, but okay.
Yeah, discussion, you can use a discussion that way, certainly.
Mhm.
And the students can see each other's answers and
Right.
learn from that.
Right.
So it's a great learning tool. I agree. It's a great way to use discussions. Something we just didn't have time to.
That's okay. No, you did a great job. You really did.
Well, thank you. Well, I'll wish you a good evening. This is the last one for this month, but my schedule for September will be up in the next day or so. And I'm under contract until the end of next June. So we'll be doing this each month henceforth. And remember, if there's something in particular you'd like to see us do, just send me an email. And if I know there's somebody who wants a particular topic done, even if it's something we haven't done before, or you don't know if we've done before or not, just send me the idea and I'll work it into the schedule. And good night. Take care and thanks for coming.